So before the show gets going, we have to thank our sponsor, Pascal Quinn, Mr. Windscreen. Thanks a million for supporting us and the station and all that. So yeah, so if you want to introduce yourselves.
Yo, how's it going? Thanks Pascal Quinn, because he saved my life the other day because he replaced my windscreen. So
oh, he actually did?
Yeah. My name's Declan and I'm the drummer and vocalist from P.O.C.
My name's Jakub and I'm the guitarist for P.O.C.
Drummer and vocalist, that can't be easy.
It's good cardio. It's about the only cardio I get, but it takes practice. But
yeah,
I'm not the best drummer, I'm not the best singer, so when you put the two together it's easy to be kind of okay at both.
Yeah.
If you're really good at both, I'd say probably couldn't do it together. But
how does that work for like live shows when you're drumming and singing?
You usually just knock the mic stand all over the place with your left hand when you're drumming. It happens all the time. Yeah. No, it's alright. You just position it well enough, but it took a few tries, a few shows to get it just right.
So for the people who don't know, what genre of music do you guys specialise in?
Well, we try to mix it up as much as possible because he loves his metal. He absolutely loves his metal, and so do I. But I like different music as well. I'm influenced, by different artists. So we try and mix it around, a bit of bluesy stuff, a bit of metal, but mostly metal. Metal.
What do you think about recently enough, especially with like rappers or artists such as like Cellar and that, like they like blend the two genres kind of
like Ghostman sort of.
Ghostman
like
and Cellar and that.
Yeah, I like it, to be honest. I'm not the sort of person who'd be prejudiced against any style of music. I love rap. I love new school rap. I love classical music. I love jazz. I love metal. I love everything. So. Yeah.
You're an open book, like.
Yeah, 100%.
Would you ever do that in the future? Blending genres?
Yeah, well, we do it to an extent now. We'll play some of the heaviest music that's being made in Galway at the moment. And then on top of that, we'll play we have a song coming on at some point during the show, like old school kind of 70s style rock and roll. That all the time. We do a bit of funk. As Jacob said, blues is the other big thing. That's what people kind of know us for, is we play a lot of blues, like Stevie Ray Vaughan type stuff in our sets, and we just kind of throw it in the middle. We're really jam based, so you kind of just have to go with the flow the whole time.
Yeah, I get that. Do you think there's a big scene in Galway though, especially for
the crack with the scene in Galway? Apparently it was real big and like really going places about 10 years ago. There was a lot of bands and shows on nearly every weekend. Sally's, the Cellar, even Oris and the Gael used to have a load of metal shows on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Some of those bands went. Only Fumes and Corpses was one that aren't going in anymore, and they did Europe a couple of times. Now there's one band, they've got a funny name, 10 Ton Slug, and they're super heavy, and they came out about 6 years ago. And they've already played Bloodstock Festival in the UK, which is one of the biggest metal festivals going in Europe really at the moment. So there's a couple of big enough bands that have come out of Galway. They say that now in like the past year, it's really come up to nearly what it used to be about 10 years ago.
Really?
And we've only been
That's
there.
mad.
We've only been there for about a year. Like we formed literally a year this month.
Is it a tight knit community though, like around Galway? Like, does everyone know everyone?
Yeah.
Or
And one of the big things is the warehouse, which is where we practice, and there's about 10 to 15 different kind of either punk or metal alternative bands that use. There's even some pop punk bands that are there, which
that's the thing though. Sorry for cutting you off there, but like the big bands like 10 Ton Slug, not many of them coming out of Galway and in general, but as far as underground bands go, what I mean, there's a lot of underground bands, like a lot that wouldn't be very well known or very big. There's so many of them, as Declan just said, in the warehouse. 15 bands, all playing like the same stuff. So
yeah.
What is the warehouse?
The warehouse is where we practice. It's a converted warehouse, and it was set up about 10 years ago, I think, and it's just kind of built up a reputation.
Oh, and it was made with intentions
for bands to practice in. Yeah, so we we don't pay much. It's a really, really cheap place to rent, and it's a space that's safe. We don't say the location because obviously there's an awful lot of equipment that's kept there and all that. But it's in Galway, and that's where we keep all of our stuff. It's safe. We just book it in on our little app around where the other bands are going to be playing, show up, set up our stuff, practice, tidy it all away and lock the door again, and we're off, and we can come back next week.
That's really cool.
So
The
and
gigs there as well.
occasionally they'll do gigs, and it's a bring your own beer type thing.
Oh, okay.
They usually get pretty wild because it's not a pub, it's not
Yeah,
anything,
I
it's
get
just
that,
a
yeah.
warehouse. So
It's a warehouse
it's
in
no-
like a middle. It's in the middle of an industrial estate in Galway. I'm not going to say where, obviously, as you said, but it's an actual warehouse, right? And it's full of this equipment, and it's a small enough space as well. So the gigs there are, only the sort of the people that are in the underground scene. They know the underground bands, all that.
Yeah.
They sort of know where it is, and they'd go
Yeah.
there, and they're all friends. It gets wild there anyway. So
So like you said, everyone knows everyone. We know
Yeah.
all the bands, and when people come to the shows, it's dudes from other bands and dudes from around Galway and girls.
Yeah.
it's-
Is there high demand from pubs and that now for metal bands?
no, never has been, probably never will.
Where do you see yourself going? For your shows and that. Like, where would your highest demand? Like, where would that be?
Galway, definitely Galway, because that's where we're based. And so when bigger bands are coming through, like this gig we have on the 1st, that's a bigger band from Dublin and a bigger band from Cork who have been
And
around for a couple of years.
Where's the gig?
In the Cellar, downstairs in the Cellar, February 1st, 8 o'clock.
Lovely stuff. Be there, lads.
And so there's a band called Lugosi and a band called Screams from the Attic. The first one's from Dublin, the other one's from Cork. They're doing 5 or 6 shows around the country
Yeah.
in a couple of weeks. So the way it rolls is pretty much they'll just, one of the guys, Stephen, contacted me, said, we're doing a show in Galway, will you play it? Because they'll try and get a band from each city to play in each city.
Okay,
as
I
well.
get that.
So
That's good.
we did travelling. We played in Limerick like 5 times. We played in Cork once.
Cork was epic. Cork
Cork
was one of my favorites.
Is that number one?
Yeah,
so
number
far?
one, because I look forward to playing the gigs a lot. The gigs are really fun, but then of course we have some fun afterwards as well, parties and stuff. And for me, Cork was definitely
Cork was
Cork's the wildest.
Yeah, it
I
was
mean,
wild.
Cork's the wildest.
I don't know how we snuck all those people past the night porter in the hotel, but
We did,
everyone managed to get in, so we had a good time.
Oh man, you love to see it. That's so for people coming on February 1st, you have to try Top Cork. Is that what you're?
Oh, the
Yeah.
crack will be mighty. The Cellar is some serious stuff has gone down at our gigs in the Cellar before. Shows
Yeah.
have been. I probably shouldn't advertise this, but shows have been
Probably
shut
shouldn't.
down and stuff.
Oh,
like
really?
that. Yeah.
Jeez, you'd have to go now, Brian.
Oh, yeah.
Experience.
VIP access. Yeah.
But and the great thing is 99% of the time with all these shows, everyone's friends. Everyone's there because the music is so important.
That's great that the support's there.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no nonsense like.
And it is very much a community type thing within Galway and the surrounding area. Like obviously I'm from Kinvara, he's from Gort, but we're still part of the Galway city
Yeah.
scene, if you like. So
Yeah.
And so have you plans for the future, where you want to go, or
well, correct me if I'm wrong, Jacob, but we started off right because we were like, I was singing and he was playing guitar. We didn't have a bassist and we didn't have a drummer. And then we had a bassist, Luke, who I think is behind us at the moment. And Luke's obviously a great friend of ours. And I started drumming because we couldn't find a drummer. So like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
See
Yeah.
how it goes.
Yeah.
yeah?
And we pretty much just set out just to see, well, how hard can it be? Let's try and get us some shows. And then we had gigs every month. During the summer, June, July, we were in Limerick, we were in Cork, we were travelling. So we didn't set out with an end goal, and we've already surpassed what we thought we would.
Yeah.
Very, very spontaneous. We started off, as you said, just me, him, and Luke playing bass, and we had our first couple of gigs in my orbit in the arts centre in Galway. Remember those gigs?
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
those were like
Open mic type things.
open mic type things, yeah. But
Yeah.
we started eventually getting more official gigs, sort of that weren't open mic, and we're scheduled to do them. And as you said, it was never something that was supposed to get us really anywhere. It was something we did for fun because we enjoyed the music and we enjoyed hanging out together and going out together after the gigs. And to be honest, the only thing I'd really want for the future, is to keep it going because it's really fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's it. And if it gets us anywhere, it'll get us somewhere. Then that's great, I suppose. So,
Yeah. Do you think, especially with like other generations, I feel especially for that certain genre of music, it gets a lot of stigma from older generations because I'd say how people dress mainly and the sound.
Well, take one look at us. Like we're so hardcore. I'm here.
Yeah,
in a shirt. We're both wearing jumpers.
I go around, I go around doing all this satanic stuff every night. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a stereotype. There's a stereotype for everyone. There's a stereotype for people that listen to metal. There's a stereotype for people that listen to new school rap a lot nowadays. A lot of people, you know, are against it, like Ghostman, all them rappers, like you were saying. You know, there's a stereotype for everyone, like, you know. So
I think personally, especially for like if I was telling my dad to listen to any type of music, I think he would be the most. I think it's like a dark passion for everyone. Like most people do enjoy listening to it, but no one really admits it.
Right.
Like especially during in college recently, like I'm so surprised how many people are actually into heavy metal.
Yeah.
And like you wouldn't even expect it. Like all like basically half my teachers would be into it,
really?
And like you'd never expect it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think a lot of people, when it comes to heavy music, like any kind of music or any, I suppose they call them subcultures, there's a theme that goes with it. So yeah, when I was 16, I used to wear a leather jacket and spikes and ripped jeans and white high tops and all that, pretending that I was James Hetfield or something like that. But nowadays, or certainly for us now, we're not that pushed with the image that goes along with it. But yeah, there's definitely stereotypes. There's definitely people who don't like it.
It does have a strong image connected to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's funny though, because a lot of people would, as you said, would think that people who play metal and heavy music, they wear black clothes, have long hair and stuff, you know. But we played a gig in Limerick, I think, in Pharmacia it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I ended up wearing just white suit pants and a Hawaiian shirt, you know, and everyone in the crowd was wearing black, and they're like, yeah, like, you know what I mean, going crazy, like just like metal. And I just came on wearing a Hawaiian shirt and white pants, and people are like, what's going on here, you know? But that's it, you know. We don't take ourselves too seriously, like, you know. Yeah.
Are there many people that do take themselves very seriously, and they won't get offended by you wearing a Hawaiian shirt?
Yeah, there is extremists out there, definitely, as there is for everything, you know. There's definitely extremists out there who would you know, be like, you're fake, you're a poser, you're not doing it right, but that's just, you know, that's just being...
Surely you're more real if you just go out.
That's it.
I think so.
Wearing what you want.
So, yeah.
That's it.
Playing the music you like.
A lot of bands our age, like from our age group, because I mean we did several gigs with a band called the Dirty Casuals, and they have a similar approach. They're very professional, really, really good, blah blah blah. But Jim, who's their frontman, usually plays in his underpants. And he's great. There's bands like that, and yeah, it's just kind of throwing the stereotypes out of the water and just doing your own thing. I think originality is worth so much.
Yeah.
It's I think it's hard to put a spin on a lot of things, but once you do get it right,
yeah. It's easy to be original.
Yeah,
it is easy to be original.
That can only get you so far.
It's not easy to be good though. And we're probably not that good. We're just pretty original, like, so.
Yeah.
There's a difference, but originality I think is worth everything, really, because there's like anything, like any kind of music, there's so many artists that sound the same, you know.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
There was a guy once said, he was the singer for a couple of famous bands. Phil Anselmo was his name, and he said back in my day, right, which would have been whatever the 80s, I think, early 80s, he was like, when we were starting bands, what we used to do is we used to get like our 10 favorite artists and combine them all together, and we'd get this weird mix of each band member's 10 favorite artists, and that would be a completely unique sound that no one's heard. And he said nowadays what he hears from bands is they pick their favorite artist, and then they just combine it all together, and then
it just sounds like a copy of the person, you know. They don't try and have their own sound. They just copy some artist, and they get influenced by one band, you know.
Yeah.
So you're definitely on the right track by having all the influences.
We
try anyways. Yeah. What can you do?
Yeah. Do you think the genre has progressed much in the past like 10, 20 years? Especially in comparison to other, like, let's say hip hop, that has changed completely 180.
Yeah. Well, I think heavy music has, because the further you go, the more divergence there are. So one thing that metal is famous for is having all these really bizarre subgenres with weird names. Every different style has got its own name.
Yeah. That is. Yeah.
And I mean, I could list loads, but I'm not gonna. So yeah, I definitely think it has, as time goes on. Definitely, because every band is playing something slightly different, and that develops into something else. So
definitely, yeah. As you said, hip hop. That really did a 180 or a 360 rather, you know what I mean? Completely done that, but you know, that happens, you know.
Yeah. Do you think, especially because I think hip hop now is definitely the most popular genre in like mainstream culture.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think heavy metal did have its shine probably in like the what generation? Probably like the 90s.
Yeah,
around
90s, 70s.
Definitely when Metallica released the Black Album in
Yeah.
1990, and if you ask anybody who was our age, anywhere between 15 and 25, around 1990, 1991,
Yeah.
they'll know Enter Sandman, they'll know Nothing
Yeah.
Else Matters, because
Yeah.
that is actually like the third top selling album in history.
Oh, really?
And
Yeah.
not just that one album from a heavy metal band was slightly more mainstream sounding and just broke through.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
after that, you'd like Slipknot. You guys have heard of Slipknot
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
They just played in Dublin, a sold out show in the 3 Arena.
Really?
They've been
Yeah.
around since then. And the
Yeah.
only reason they can do that is because they rode that wave in the 90s where metal was huge. So.
I first heard Slipknot,
Is it Justin Bieber?
the Baby remix.
Yeah.
That was my introduction to them.
I mean, I wouldn't be a fan personally, but
Neither would I
Yes.
really. Yeah.
I'd say as far as I would go, is I absolutely love System of a Down. Now,
Right.
I don't know if
yeah,
you'd...
yeah.
Oh yeah. System of a Down. They're good. I
They're
like
really
them.
good.
Yeah, they're really nice.
And again, they were around at just the right time. New metal, they called it.
Is that new metal?
NU.
Yeah.
It's new metal from the 90s, and that's when metal had its heyday.
Yeah.
So
There was a lot of death metal as well in the 90s.
Yeah.
A lot of death
Yeah,
metal
so
coming
you've
out there.
heavy metal, death metal. Big
will
difference.
we go for it? Will we
Yeah.
go for it? Right? We could do a whole history lesson on metal.
Yes,
right?
let's
It
go,
started
yeah.
off in 1969 when Black Sabbath released their debut album by the name Black Sabbath. Anyway, so you got, will we start? We've got heavy metal, thrash metal, death metal, doom metal,
And
glam
stoner.
metal, stoner metal, glam metal, I said that, speed metal, new metal, I don't know,
A lot.
deathcore, all the different cores,
Yeah.
all those, yeah.
You've got like progressive metal. You've got like everything. You've got super like extreme technical death metal. All those they're
Techno
just,
metal.
Yeah,
Brutal
they're just
death metal.
yeah. It's just there's so many.
And is it easy to kind of distinguish between them?
If you're an absolute devout metalhead, and I wouldn't consider myself one, you'd be able to tell the difference. And they do. They can be organised.
Some there is. Yeah.
But I'll be honest, I could not be bothered with all these labels.
Yeah.
Like, if I like a band, I like a band. It could be Grateful Dead, or it could be
Oh yeah.
Cannibal Corpse, whatever. It's music is music for me, really.
Do you think is there any new heavy metal band that would be able to sell out arenas like Slipknot or Metallica,
Yeah, there's a few up and coming
or like
groups.
up and coming that like could eventually, in the like, cause like it's, you haven't really heard any other people that broke out like Metallica or Slipknot.
Yeah, I mean they have, but they're not really metal.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
Black Veil Brides were huge, Fall Out Boy was huge. And
Yeah.
in the mainstream
Yeah.
media,
They got
said,
so commercial.
this is a metal band.
Yeah, Imagine
And it
Dragons.
sounds
Fall Out Boy.
Imagine Dragons, and they're like, this
Yeah.
is a metal, but it's a hard rock band. But
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
everyone who listens to hard rock or metal, it's not really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In,
Was that-
in most opinions.
One band there, I don't know their name, but they are very heavily influenced by Led Zeppelin. Do you remember them?
Oh,
What's their Greta Van Fleet?
Greta Van
There was
Fleet.
a band called Greta Van Fleet, and they were absolutely amazing. I mean, if you were to play one of their songs, and tell someone it's Led Zeppelin, they'd probably believe you. But that was their problem. They're not popular anymore, really, because they copied Led Zeppelin too much. They were extremely talented musicians. They played. I mean, the whole band was so talented, but they copied Led Zeppelin too much. And if they would have been original and not just copied Led Zeppelin, they would have been huge,
And
because
that's
they're
only
extremely talented.
2 years ago, we
Yeah.
came across them, and they had absolutely massive YouTube viewing numbers, and they were
Yeah.
touring the world, and they're literally the same age as us.
Yeah.
They were young enough, but they were copying a sound, and
Copied away.
haven't heard anything about them
Yeah.
since. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I think there definitely is a few bands, the likes of. I don't know if metal will ever break through to the mainstream again, but if it does, it might be a while, I would say, before there's bands that.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard to. It has such a strong structure to it. Like it's such a strong, like, because with like hip hop evolves so much until it eventually. But I think heavy metal has evolved, and then it has broken out.
Mhm.
So I think it's kind of like country music, like that like it's only now coming back into swing because
Yeah.
of like like trap remixes,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Lil
yeah.
Nas X and things like that.
Mm.
But do you think you could see like a future of, let's say, like a new and improved like heavy metal?
I would hope so. I would hope that heavy music and what it brings. Certainly, like punk is famous for being political and stuff like that. I definitely think that would have a chance, certainly in this day and age, to shine through in music again. Because I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I wouldn't be the biggest expert on hip hop or and new age rap, but I mean, how political does that get? How legit does that get? The one thing
it does get sometimes pretty political. As far as, because obviously, as far as Black Lives Matter, what's happening, all that. So it does get political, as far as that, and it always was. With NWA as well. NWA had a song, "You Can't Say That Police," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, that was political because, black people back then were being prosecuted unfairly and stuff, and, it was political, but that's it.
But then today you've the likes of Playboy Carti.
right.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I actually do enjoy his music.
I kind of want there to be more bands like Rage Against the Machine. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
Because you see, Rage Against the Machine, they had a rapper as a vocalist, pretty much. I mean, he rapped, and they had a heavy sound underneath that, and that was really cool, combining that heavy sound with that rapping.
What was it? God, I didn't really listen to them, but I remember I was flicking through music channels when I was younger, and I came across Limp Bizkit.
Oh my God, yeah.
And
that's an example of just that, rap and metal combining to such a degree that it's horrible and cheesy.
It wasn't. But then again, I've seen Scarlord live,
right,
and that was mental.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he is crazy.
He's just crazy.
His live shows are mental. I think it's only really him and Joe Ghostmate. No, yeah.
I don't know, Ghostman.
Yeah, and kind of Suicide Boys as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know all those. A guy called Bones.
Yeah,
Bones. I love Bones. Good friend of mine, actually. I think he was on the show. Was he?
Leon.
Yeah. He's a big fan of Bones. I remember we used to hang out a lot back in the day, and when we hung out, he was the one who kind of introduced me to Bones, and I didn't like him in the beginning, but I got used to it then, and I like him now.
Yeah. Do you think? What are your honest thoughts on everyone thinking that Fall Out Boy and Imagine Dragons are rock?
All right, you go first.
Honest opinions, because I'm not even a fan, and
I'll straight away say. It's missing something. It's missing rock and metal is music that's supposed to be aggressive. It's supposed to stand for something. It's if you want to be calm and you want to have a nice dinner and a glass of wine, you go and listen to classical music. But the reason young people especially, and teens are so attracted to rock and metal and stuff is because it stands for something. And it's angry, and believe me, a good few people feel alienated in this world today, because it's a changing world, and a lot of people, especially our age, feel alienated, and that's something they can take their frustration out rather than taking their frustration out on the streets, and just destroying stuff. They take their frustration out at the shows. They take their frustration out listening to the music, and that's what it's supposed to be. You can't call something metal or rock if it just doesn't have that. It doesn't have that oomph. It doesn't have that power. It doesn't. You need that.
That's the way it's been since day one. It has been. That's where metal and moshing and mosh pits and the aggression, the style of music comes from. It's just people wanting to channel anger and difficult emotions.
Everyone gets angry.
And
that's true.
There should be there's music, as I said, for relaxing and chilling out, but everyone gets angry. So. There has to be music for anger as well, and that's what it is.
So I think then on a technical side of things, like the songwriting type of thing, Imagine Dragons, I'm just going to use them as an example because I used to listen to them a lot when I was younger, back in my pleb days, and so they're now at the top of what's called the alternative charts, or they're a number one rock artist at the moment, and that's what the media, like the popular media will say the likes of MTV and stuff like that, because they still want to sell a product, so they still want to sell something. So what they have is that alternative music, or is what they're classing as rock music, is rock music that still will apply and be commercially successful with the people that would be interested in, you know, what's number one today. I couldn't tell you what's number one today if I was to look at the number, or just the regular charts, the global, Irish, American, UK, whatever, and look at the top 10 artists today. Chances are I wouldn't have a clue what any of them sound like.
See, to me, music always was it always had some form of rebellion against something. You know, it always came out. Good music always came out of something. It always came out of either some group of people being oppressed or something like that. You know, it always had something. Whereas this music that's in the charts now, and this is my opinion, I don't really mind if someone likes it or not, but I don't think it's coming from anything. I think it's just a product. I think it's just a product, and it's sold as a product.
Yeah, that is true.
It's just missing. It's missing something for me personally. If people enjoy it, that's great, and I'm happy for them because the music makes them happy and they enjoy it. But I don't, because it's missing something. It just feels like a product. It's done for money.
Well, yeah, I think what happens is you these artists who have the looks, everything. They go into a studio, they get a deal, and they're given the songs to sing.
They're given the songs to write, and they're written. So like those songs, like, you know, so many artists, like Taylor Swift is an example, Justin Bieber is an example. Their songs, all those people's songs, are literally written by the same 5 people who are earning so much money living out there, and they're just writing songs. But all like modern pop songs have all got a very similar structure. I know it's definitely different with hip hop and with a lot of the rap artists, because a big thing about that is that the artists themselves are writing it. And so I can really respect that, even though it's not the type of music I would listen to. But with the mainstream, what we would just call pop, you're going to find exactly the same melodies in those songs as you are in an Imagine Dragons song, and that's why they're successful to the point that they are, is because they're using the same type of melodies, the same type of strong song structure, which is naturally appealing. So it changes. All the pop songs now, it doesn't matter what you say, they do sound somewhat similar. If you go to the 80s, all the pop songs from that period of time do sound somewhat similar, and it just evolves, and that's the way pop is. But now you're getting rock bands who may start off as rock bands trying their best to sound like these pop songs so that they will get up there. And that's business, you know. They're going to make money, they're going to make a lot of money, but
it's business.
It's not what real rock and roll is about, I don't think.
So you think it's like become diluted?
Definitely.
Yeah, and it pushes a lot of the music that's in the charts now, and a lot of things nowadays. I'm not going to get into this anyways because we're meant to talk mainly about music, but there's a lot of things, you know, like social media. It all just pushes a toxic sort of ideology of a toxic image of what someone is supposed to look like, and it's alienating a lot of people. It really is, because you look at social media, or you look at with a music video, for example, from Justin Bieber. These people, I mean, they look perfect, or what perfect is supposed to be, you know. And, you know, it just makes people depressed, because then they go and look at themselves in the mirror and they see a little spot, or they see something that's there, and, you know, and they just feel horrible, you know. And those people should probably come to one of our shows.
On February 1st, let's go, Cellar Bar.
Get that anger out. Come on down.
I would be very tempted right now to play Justin Bieber's latest song. Have you heard it?
No, God.
Okay.
Well, we've nothing against it, so go ahead.
James is going to...
Yummy.
So
this is absolute AIDS.
So, and this is probably the worst song. Justin Bieber has released a Christmas album when he was like 14 as well, and I still think this is worse.
I'm actually intrigued.
Have you heard it?
I can't wait.
I haven't listened to Justin Bieber.
What happened was he had his early stuff, and then about 2 years ago he released a new album, and it was actually okay. But he's gone back to this.
Yeah, like he had songs with like Diplo and Skrillex. Right, they're actually good. In fairness, I'm not even gonna lie about that. But So this is his This is like his.
This is his comeback song.
Okay.
Yeah, this is his comeback song.
This is Justin Bieber coming back
from like 2016.
Yeah, that's
That's a taste of that.
Yeah.
That's enough
There you
for me.
go with the trap beats, the trap influence
Right,
on
which
that.
is becoming
Yeah.
so
and
popular.
it's,
Yeah.
it's extremely
So-
popular.
The
recently,
AO8 and
but it's
Yeah.
becoming extremely generic now.
No, and
Yeah.
so what's the next? Give it a year. There's going to be a different type of rhythm. Going to be a slight
Yeah.
difference that's going to be popular.
There's lots of dancehall coming into music now. So kind of
Okay.
like
Yeah.
African and Jamaican
Oh,
Yeah.
influences.
Love that.
And I love
it.
reggae. Anything reggae is
fantastic.
amazing.
Um,
That's one thing we do. Sometimes listen to before
sometimes
shows.
we do. But
We
sometimes,
listen to
Chill
some,
out.
some reggae. Yeah, yeah.
sometimes we play reggae.
Sometimes
for
we do.
Christ's sakes, at these metal shows, because as I said, we try and mix everything up. So sometimes at these shows we play a little bit of a reggae beat, and it gets people going. Some people get going, others are kind of angry because
Yeah.
they came to see metal. But what can you do? But yeah.
that gets them more angry. So
Yeah,
you're doing a
that's
good
it.
job.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, want to
You're
get a reaction out of people. If people are just like, nah, it's
Yeah.
all right, then it's not. I don't feel fulfilled. If
Yeah.
people are, mad into it, then great, that's fantastic. Or if people are, a little bit peed off, even
Yeah.
better.
Now this might come across as an awfully ignorant, stupid question. So,
I'm intrigued.
but how do metal singers, and even yourself, I haven't heard you saying, but how does your voice withstand all that kind of
So
strain?
there's a right way to do it.
Yeah,
and
it's
there's
their
a wrong
technique.
way. There's
Yeah.
totally technique, and I'm no expert in it.
Mm.
My dearest mother, on the other hand, who is classically trained, she's
I've
a
heard her,
classically
yeah.
trained singer, right?
Yeah.
So she's an opera singer. She's a soprano, and she taught me a little bit when I was younger. But yeah, there's totally technique to it. So metal is maybe famous for its growls, for its growling. Now,
Yeah.
if you try to growl, the way I'll put it, think of a baby, and this is the interesting. Think of a baby. Babies are able to scream, right? They're able to scream and cry really, really loud for extended periods of time, and they don't get hoarse, right? Their voice doesn't get worn out or anything like that. So the way to do it is you channel it the way a baby does, basically. So you've got your vocal cords, and then you've got your false vocal cords, which are below them. Your vocal cords are just two, kind of like elastic bands, but they're flaps of skin.
Yeah.
And their movement, their vibrations is what makes the noise, and the shape of your mouth and the air traveling through it. But your false vocal cords are below them, and they look, for all intents and purposes, the same, but they're thicker, and they're to do with your breathing. Now, I'm no scientist, so I don't know, but this is the way it was explained to me, was that if you learn to use your false vocal cords to make that growling sound, then you won't get nodes or on your normal vocal cords. You won't get tired. Your voice won't get hoarse. So if you're coughing, if you got a cough, then your voice goes after a while because your vocal cords are rubbing together. So
I just thought you drank a lot of whiskey and smoked a lot of cigarettes, and that's how you got the voice. I didn't know. You're doing a good
It
job.
helps.
There's all this science behind
helps.
it.
The whiskey and the cigarettes help, definitely. But yeah, and you use your diaphragm. You push the air out.
Yeah.
And you're at a low frequency. You're singing at a low frequency. Baritone, like the way the depth of my voice is now, that would be what I would sing at or growl at.
Yeah.
So there is a technique. Definitely there is a technique. If you do it wrong, your voice is not going to last long. And I when I was starting out, I tried, and it just takes time and practice to be able to get there. So you can there's still singers, like some of the best singers in the world, like Dio or Phil Anselmo, who can, they've got a range similar to the likes of Freddie Mercury. They've got nearly a 4-octave range where they can hit these incredibly high notes that you think, how can they do that? Someone's squeezing their balls or something, like what the hell? And then they can do these really deep guttural growls as well, and it's all just technique.
Yeah.
It is just technique. So I'm definitely still learning, no expert, but it's good.
Yeah.
That was a big question.
Yeah.
That
wasn't that bad.
That was
Oh, it's a very good question.
That was
it's
a good
great
question.
that was a
good question.
good answer.
Yeah.
Very
So
knowledgeable.
come to the live show and you'll hear both. You'll hear
Yeah.
it.
And we've got
Yeah.
another one actually at the end of February.
Yeah,
I think
28th.
Yeah. 28th.
Is that Galway too?
Sally Long.
That's Sally Long's. Yeah,
Ooh,
love
nice book.
playing Sally Long. I love
book.
playing there.
So for your shows, are they all volunteer? You're just doing it for the fun, or
we make money out of it.
Yeah.
Not much money, but we make money. Yeah.
so like is that for people that want to get into it? Obviously, you have to have a love for it, but it's not. Would this be something you could do if you quit your job and did this full time? Is like.
No chance.
No,
Absolutely no chance.
not yet. Anyways, maybe at some point if we keep it going.
Is it growing? Is it growing in Ireland enough for people to be able to do it full
There are
time?
some bands who are getting there. There's a band called God Alone from Cork who have been around for about 4 years. The youngest member is 18. and the oldest member I think is 20. So they're still in school. Jack, their drummer, who's a friend of ours, only did his leaving cert this year. They've been featured in Metal Hammer and Kerrang, which are the two biggest heavy metal magazines in the world.
Yeah,
because they did a tour of London, didn't they? Or
they
a tour of England?
of the UK. So they're literally like younger than us.
Yeah.
And they are making it. They're literally making it. They're becoming famous. There's people traveling overseas to see God Alone play in Ireland. So they can do it. And they're still in school. There are some people who just don't have jobs and busk and also play in bands. I know people like that, and so they're living through the arts, through making music. Unfortunately, me and Jacob are not in a position where we can do that. So it is possible, but very hard. And the way it usually starts is you're working full time, like both of us work full time, and we practice when we're not working. We try and get days off when we have gigs. Blah blah, and you just need to work around your schedule. It'll get to a point, if you're really good, that you should be playing shows so much that you can't hold down a job. That's that awkward bit in between. That's what people say, is there's that awkward bit in between where
taking the leap.
You're not making
enough,
really much money, but you are playing so much shows that you can't actually hold down a job properly. And
I used to work there over in the Merriman, and that was a pain. That was a pain trying to get days off there for the gigs. But thankfully, I don't work there anymore. Got a better job now. So
yeah.
Me and Declan work together.
Yeah, we do.
I used to work there.
What's the place called that you work in again?
Linans.
That's it.
Yeah.
I wash pots.
Got the sound chef.
James gives me the plates and I wash the plates.
Yeah.
I scrape them off first.
Yeah, he does scrape them off. He puts his rubbish
on. That sound when the waiter does that, I remember when you scrape it off the plate, easier to wash.
Well, I'm going to say there's some people on your team, James, who really have no respect for the job that KP has to do. I'm not going to name names, but...
Oh, no, I work in, the Hardyman in Galway, by the train station. Yeah. And, the KPs there... definitely, hands down, have the hardest job out of everyone. And I honestly, because I was a KP in Linans as well for a month.
Right.
And definitely probably the hardest job I've ever done.
It's just that it's not even the waiters and waitresses are running around. They're constantly going. The chef obviously has to get it right, and if he doesn't get it right,
it's just bad work.
But it's just rubbish work.
It's bad work.
So that's why I'm so glad it's not my full-time job. It's just a job on the side. I couldn't imagine having.
I'm glad I'm done with it.
5 days a week.
Couldn't deal with it. And you have to work weekends as well. You know, the job I have.
We're just too soft for that, man. We are just.
I don't mind working weekends, you know, but I wasn't getting any premium for it or anything. You know what I mean? It's I don't know, man.
Yeah, but it's just you could become a waiter, and you're probably getting paid the same, maybe more, and the work is just a lot better.
It's nicer. Probably hard. Probably equally as hard, but nicer.
I've worked both, and I have to say out front is definitely better, hands down. Because you're not wet. You're not under pressure. You're not constantly under pressure.
Filthy, covered in food, and
you can talk to people. Way better.
The good thing though about being a KP though is if you work there long enough, get to know the chef might actually promote you. You know, like the guy over in the Merriman was sound. He said, you know, if I work there for a while, you know, I could get promoted to breakfast chef or a chef that helps out in the kitchen. You know, and then you'd be getting a prep chef. Yeah, and you'd be getting paid more then. So there's opportunity there for progression, but
there isn't for
kitchen work isn't for me.
Well, that's it. I mean, if you're on the floor, you're on the floor. I mean, you go from a waiter to being a bar manager, and that's a big jump. So
it is.
You need to go to college for that.
So that's the thing. I mean, there's people in the kitchen who've just worked their way up. The head chef in Linans at the moment, he just worked his way up from when he was 14. So in that way, being a KP can be useful, but it's not where my passion lies.
Definitely not. No. Would there be anyone in not even the Galway scene, but just in the Ireland scene that you'd love to co-sign, and give a shout out to?
Band-wise?
And even for us, we'd love to start interviewing more Irish artists. Obviously we had Leon on. We have Eon now.
Any artists that you'd love, that you'd like to co-sign. and show some love to.
Well,
the Jim's band are still together, or did you say one of their bands broke up?
yeah. So the Dirty Casuals.
Dirty Casuals have them on.
We're a band from Cork, and they gave us some of our first shows. They brought us to Cork and to Limerick. They asked us to open for them, so that was fantastic. We thought we'd made it. Like we were delighted. So we owe them a lot. There's another band who are an enigma, and they're legendary, and they just unfortunately disbanded. They're called The Turn.
Yeah.
And they're a punk band from Limerick, and they again did similar. They helped us, gave us our first couple of
They
shows.
were great, yeah.
All absolutely fantastic, amazing people, and very, very talented people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, as far as Galway bands go, the first gig we ever got was with Mongrel, who are a hardcore punk, a D-beat punk band. And they did
Cool
a Scandinavian tour. They're a band who are based in Galway and are probably going places. They're really good.
I've got Alone on.
God Alone from Cork again.
Yeah, the big boys now.
very,
They're
very
the up
sound,
and coming.
So yeah, there's. I mean, the list goes on.
The list goes on, but definitely Jim's band, the Dirty Casuals.
The Dirty Casuals. Yeah.
And
When you said that you don't have any of your songs recorded yet.
No,
not yet, but we're working on it.
We've been working on it for months.
We've been working on it, but we don't have much.
What are the difficulties making an album or even songs from the ground up? Like?
Yeah.
Do you have to go to a studio nowadays, or can you just do it?
You could do it. We could do it right here with this equipment. Jerry Wallace, the man, the myth, the legend, right, has been a patron of our band. I mean, the amp that we use.
He's like an angel investor, someone who invests into a startup a lot of money.
That's it. So if we don't succeed, he's going to be very upset. But no, I mean, Jerry's lent us several absolutely invaluable pieces of equipment, which have helped us, start from knowing nothing, and even just sharing a little bit of knowledge with us. So it is very, very possible. It's something you can do, no problem, but it just takes time, and it's a total learning curve for us. Jacob, luckily, is very, very handy with digital mixing, stuff like that.
I used to make a lot of electronic music and techno, and I used to put it up, and I used to make it on a thing called Fruity Loops. You probably guys know about it. And other softwares as well, it's the hardest part of the recording for an album or a song would be actually putting the mic up against, because you have to, obviously you can't just record a live session because it's all muddled and mixed, it's hard to mix that. You need individual tracks. You need drum track, guitar track, vocal track, another guitar track, a bass track, all these tracks. The hard part is, because we don't have a studio that has soundproofing or anything, it's just difficult to get a good sound tracked into the actual software, because you have to set the mic up in the right position to record the guitar track, and putting all that together is the hard part. But if we put all that together, the mixing part is easy enough.
And our plan is still definitely, even though we've been trying, every time we're like, right, we just did our last gig, there's no gigs coming up, let's focus all our practice sessions on recording. We'll do it, we'll start recording drum tracks and all that, and then someone will say, yo, can you guys do a gig next week? And we're like, right, crap, we got it rehearsed for this gig, and then Christmas, I mean, all of November and Christmas, we were kind of just a little bit not really with it, thinking about other stuff. And
busy.
Next thing you know, it's nearly the end of flipping January.
So time flies.
The big thing is it takes time. It takes a lot of time. So. But we'll get there. We definitely will do. We're going to probably record a 4-track EP, 3 or 4 track EP.
Not too bad.
That's doable.
If you do, we might get you on the show again.
To
promote it.
Definitely cool.
Listen to a few tracks live on radio.
That'd be really cool. That'd be really cool. Now we've got a reason to record.
I
guess we better record so
people know what's happening in the future now.
Yeah. Good stuff.
So an EP in the future.
An EP.
So you've a gig coming up 1st February.
1st February. That's
Cellar
it.
Bar.
Cellar Bar.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
First band's on 8:45, I think.
Sound.
And then it's us second.
It's us, and then the wonderful Screams from the Attic from Cork, who class themselves as horror punk.
Interesting. Okay,
Misfit style.
That's a new one. That's another one.
Misfit style. Yeah, I'm sure.
Add that one to the list.
Some people will be familiar with the Misfits. They're a legendary band. So they, and then Lugosi from Dublin, who I've never heard before. Looking forward to it. They'll be headlining. They're quite big.
Yeah. And is this pay at the door? Or
Yeah, €5, simple €5, and that's the way all these gigs work. There's none of the
hassle of
and it's just we'll take turns. Literally, myself, Jacob probably, and the guy from the other bands will take turns sitting at the door because there's no promoters involved.
Yeah,
you know, like Brian met me yesterday. I was putting up the posters in Galway for it. You know, I might be just one of the members of one of the bands on the bill, but someone's got to do the promo stuff. So we all just chip in our own bit.
Yeah.
And
did one for charity there in the Red Cross, Irish Red Cross.
Yeah, we did.
I enjoyed that gig. It was a good gig, and all the money went to charity, and apparently I think it was a decent amount of money anyways for an underground metal show. It was a good amount of money, so I enjoyed doing
euro,
that.
a good few £100 that was in the Pharmacia in Limerick.
Yeah.
And that was
it Milk Market, was it?
Or the Milk Market,
yeah.
the Milk Market, Costello's Milk Market in Limerick. That was some really heavy bands, like really some of the heaviest sounds, slung from a tree, from Limerick, who are just like out of this world, heavy Electric Wizards type stuff. Steiner and ourselves and Tombs, proper heavy music, and it was for Limerick Red Cross. Yeah, so it works both ways. It was really good.
Yeah. So it's like everyone, it's DIY, so everyone's helping out, doing everything.
That's we never even mentioned that. The whole scene is DIY. The warehouse, think of how DIY the warehouse is, just a flipping warehouse.
BYOB, like.
yeah, totally. And that's the spirit lies in do it yourself and have a good time.
Yeah.
Would you ever do like live sessions record live sessions in, let's say, the warehouse?
So the plan, that's how we did our early demos to get us some of those gigs.
The thing is, when that you can record that, but it doesn't really sound the best because it's so loud and
Echoes,
and the drums and the guitar, they all muddle together, and we tried doing that before, and it was very difficult to make sound good. Yeah. But we could probably record a song, you know, in the warehouse on your phone. Just put it up on Facebook or something.
Yeah.
You
know, one of the pieces of equipment Jerry gave us was a H1 microphone.
They're actually very good.
Yeah, so
very
handy for podcasting. So we used one of those for our demo. But one thing we were considering doing was recording a live show.
Yes.
And putting out a live, as in just a live EP, which would be a cut from the show, or maybe even the full one. And that would just, if we could do that well, if we could do that properly, then it would, it would be really exciting to have
do it at one of these gigs or something.
Yeah.
I've got a camera here. I could shoot down.
There you go. Yeah,
definitely.
100%. Yeah,
we'd definitely be interested in helping you out, recording, documenting.
It'd be good fun.
That's epic, guys. Yeah, that's serious.
Yeah.
So we're coming to the end now.
Okay. Got it.
Thanks.
Good show. Yeah.
Thanks for having us on.
Very interesting.
So so this is P.O.C.
Yeah,
that's
P.O.C.
it.
Can we say what that means?
No.
It's got loads of meanings.
Don't say them.
I won't say them. Anything that you can think of.
That's what it is.
That's P.O.C. That's what it is.
That's what it is for you.
Yeah.
I can already think of like 5 right now.
It's very cool.
So so you requested a bit of ZZ Top.
Yeah,
sure.
We're going to be covering this on Saturday. So
sound.
Yeah.
So I'll throw this on. So this is ShamCast, Kinvara Fm.
Yeah.
Local community radio. You can get us on Instagram, YouTube, just ShamCast. And once again,
big shout out to
Pascal Quinn, Mr. Windscreen, Declan knows.
Windscreen, the man, the legend.